like to take this opportunity to say good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are, to everyone. Thank you for joining us today at this important webinar. So yes, a warm welcome to all of you. And I also want to take this opportunity to say a huge thank you to our co-funders of the Covenant of Mayors in Sub-Saharan Africa. They are the European Union, the General Federal Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development, BMZ, and the Spanish Agency for International Development Cooperation, ACID. This waste management webinar is a session that forms part of the Conversations with COMSA webinar series that kicked off at the beginning of this year. The session aims to create the space for local governments and waste sector stakeholders across the region to exchange their ideas and knowledge about overcoming challenges and taking advantage of opportunities in the waste sector. Our hope is that this exchange will provide participants with new ideas or perspectives on waste management solutions that are relevant to your context, and also to create an opportunity for participants to connect with each other and build strong relationships that can continue way after this webinar. Waste management in Sub-Saharan Africa is an essential part of the service delivery mandates of local governments. However, in many of these rapidly growing cities, infrastructure and capacity for conventional collection and processing of both solid waste and wastewater has not been able to manage the increasing volumes of the waste that is being generated. The average solid waste collection rate in Sub-Saharan Africa is lower at only 44% on the continent, although the coverage varies considerably between cities, from less than 20% in some cities to well over 90% in some cities. Waste management therefore presents considerable challenges and is critically important for reducing pollution and ensuring communities live safe and healthy and live in safe and healthy environments. In addition, the greenhouse gas emissions that come from the waste sector contribute almost 7% of Africa's total emissions, although when looking at it at a city level, these emissions can contribute up to 1/3 of the total emissions within a city. On the other hand, and thinking more positively, the challenges of waste management provide a fertile space for innovation and partnerships. In many cities in Sub-Saharan Africa, local governments, communities, and the private sector are reframing waste as a resource and using the opportunities in the waste sector to test innovations and build partnerships. In order to facilitate participation and to create the opportunity for participants to connect with each other, we will be using breakout rooms during this session. For those of you that require translation and are French speaking, I would also like to mention that we have French translation available. You can find this at the bottom of your screen, where you'll see a tab that says interpretation. Please click there to change between English and French. We would also, just to go over some of these housekeeping rules before I explain the breakout rooms. So we would also like you to please mute yourself to avoid disturbances during the presentation. Please feel free to also type any questions, comments, or to introduce yourself and let us know where you're from in the chat. Also feel free to turn on your camera when you are speaking, and then this can also facilitate more participation. We'd also like to note, and you would have also gotten an information note about this when you join the webinar, that the session is being recorded. So we will be using breakout rooms for this session. For those of you that require translation, and are French speaking, please stay in the plenary room. In other words, you don't need to do anything when the breakout rooms open. For those of you that are English speaking, please do join the optional breakout room where there won't be translation, but our English speaking participants will be presenting on some of the cases within that room. You'll be able to access the breakout room by clicking on more at the bottom of your screen when the breakout rooms are open. We have 4 excellent speakers today. And apologies if my pronunciation is a bit off for any of these names. But we have Nyali Oko from Oti 1 in Togo, and Ibrahima Niang from AMCS in Mauritania. They will be presenting within our main plenary room with the French translation. We also have Dr. Ahmed Haruna Labaran from Abuja in Nigeria, and Mr. Mitiku Valdesbet from UN Habitat in Ethiopia. And both of those speakers will be presenting in our English breakout room. Following these presentations and the discussions in the breakout room, we will then come back to plenary and hear some key points that have been discussed in both of these sessions.
Pour faire un retour de
This will then be followed by some very interesting innovative work that's happening in the startup space in both Cape Town and the Democratic Republic of Congo. So we hope that you do join us for the entire session. Without further ado, let me introduce you to our 2 moderators. First, we have Ms. Nicola Rule, who will be moderating the English session. She's a professional officer at ICLEI Africa and also support to the Covenant of Mayors in Sub-Saharan Africa. We also have Mr. Nelson Delamar, who will be moderating the French session. He is also a professional officer at ICLEI Africa and support to the Covenant of Mayors. And I've also haven't taken the opportunity to introduce myself. So for those of you that I haven't seen before in a COMSA webinar, my name is Tara Keitano. I'm a senior professional officer also at ICLEI Africa based in Cape Town. And I'm also the coordinator of the Covenant of Mayors in Sub-Saharan Africa Secretariat. So it's a warm welcome to all of you again. At this point, I would like to open the breakout rooms. And again, just to refresh everyone's memory, the French translation and presentations will happen here in the main plenary room. So if you do want to join that session, please do just stay in this plenary session. For English participants, please can you, and also for our English speakers, please can you select the option to join the breakout room. At the bottom of your screen, you can click more and you can enter the English breakout room. Thank you, and I wish you good sessions. Over to our moderators.
Bonjour à tous, on va attendre que les participants
Hello everyone, let's just wait for everyone to join, for the English speakers to join the English breakout room before we start with the French presentations in the plenary session.
Sonia, can you open the breakout rooms?
Sonia, vous pouvez ouvrir les salles de discussion, s'il vous plaît?
Pour les participants francophones, vous voyez qu'il y a un
For
onglet
French speakers, you have a tab saying breakout room, join breakout room.
dans la plénière.
Please do
Cliquez
not
sur le bouton.
click. You need to stay on the plenary session.
We still have people joining, so my suggestion is that we just speak about the breakout rooms again.
Well, I think at this point, Sonia, that the remaining participants are all French speaking. Looks like. So then maybe we can proceed then. Donc bienvenue dans cet échange de connaissances.
So welcome to this exchange, city-to-city exchange for the COMSA.
Donc, comme vous l'a
As
comme l'a présenté ma collègue Tara,
presented by Tara, my colleague, my name is Nelson Delamare. I am project manager within ICLEI Africa. I'm part of the team in charge of climate changes, energy and resilience.
je fais partie
I am part of the secretariat of the COMSA,
et je suis aussi chargé
and I am also in charge of the support center for the Covenant of Mayors in Sub-Saharan Africa. I will be facilitating and moderating this session today.
Tout d'abord deux présentations
First, we'll have two presentations from different speakers,
une du Togo et
one from Togo
de la Mauritanie.
and one from Mauritania.
La première présentation est en vidéo.
So it's going to be a video for the first one, and the second one will be a live presentation. Following these presentations, we will have about 24 minutes, or 20 minutes rather, to discuss waste management in African cities as part of the COMSA. I hope that we will have a fruitful discussion. Just a bit of information before we start the presentations. Please stay muted throughout the whole presentation to avoid any disruptions. When we start the discussion, please raise your hand to take the floor. You can also turn on your video during the whole webinar. Feel free to ask questions if you want also. If you have comments, questions, you can put them in the chat. We are going to start with the first video. It's going to be a presentation by Mr. Akonyeli, who works in Botsi 1 in Togo on hygiene-related matters. Sonia, you can start the video.
Bonsoir, chers panélistes. Bonsoir, chers partenaires. Bonsoir, chers communes signataires de la
Hello.
Convention des maires. Nous avons,
Dear colleagues from the COMSA,
avec l'expérience de la commune de l'OTI 1 en matière de
I
gestion
would like to share my experience
à travers la collecte
in
du
the
tri,
commune
la
OT1
population et
with
son impact
regards to
au sein de la communauté
waste
bénéficiaire.
management and waste evaluation. and how we have worked in order to mitigate the impact
la gestion des déchets,
of waste management.
le projet a traité le fonctionnement de la gestion des déchets et des personnes impliquées, le
First,
résultat et impact du projet au sein de la population communautaire, les perspectives de
I
la
will talk
commune
about the context, and then I will give you a little bit of explanation on the way that we have carried out our project with regards to the improvement of management systems, of waste management systems, and the results that we have obtained.
qui est passé de 42 400 en 2017 à 49 914 en 2020. Et qui fait que plus de 8 300
So first, a little bit of
tonnes
context.
sont jetées
The
annuellement.
population in our city has grown and
L'existence
went from 42,000 people in 2017 to 49,000 inhabitants in 2020, with over 8,378 tons of waste on a yearly basis that are not processed.
Surtout la maladie diarrhéique qui nous représentait 12 à 13% au CHP, en gros, selon les
There are a lot
statistiques.
of waste landfills that are not managed and that are not official.
De collecte et réévaluation pour remédier à ce problème.
This
Euh,
has a negative impact on the hygiene and health situation because
Pour
it
assurer une bonne gestion des déchets, la
spreads
commune
diseases.
en
So
action
this is how we have
avec l'ONG Sciences et Technologies africaines pour un développement durable,
been working on improving the
spécialisée dans la gestion
system.
durable des déchets.
In order to improve the waste management system, the mayor has signed a convention
Fonctionnement
with
l'ONG
an
STAR
NGO called Science and Technology in Africa for Sustainable Development. They specialize in sustainable waste management and they have a lot of experience.
et
They work on landfills,
la décharge, centre de transfert des dépotoirs intermédiaires. Où il y fait le tri et la
and the
valorisation
processing
des déchets
of waste.
seront acheminés, seront collectés et acheminés vers
The waste is collected thanks to this NGO
la
and
mairie
brought
à travers
these treatment centers
et de plaines mécaniques.
with the
La
help
mairie a pour rôle de
and the
faire la
support of the town hall.
planification, de faire le suivi et
What this NGO helped us do is that they helped us plan better
et à
the
l'enregistrement
waste
de
management system.
la population pour l'abonnement pour s'abonner pour
As a
adhérer à
result,
ce
the population now has access
Eh,
to a waste management system.
les activités
Now,
de la
this is how we have organized our different activities and the different people involved.
C'est grâce aux tracteurs
We have
et de
people who have trucks
et que les activités
and who collect
de
the waste.
collecte se fait. En parallèle de collecte des déchets des centres de transfert vers la décharge finale,
And
il y a
parallel
également
to that,
on voit des dépotoirs sauvages.
we have on the second picture on the right-hand side of the slide, you can see how the waste is then sent to these transfer centers
parmi tant d'autres.
and then sent to the final
Nous
treatment
avons
and landfill center.
de
These are the results that we have obtained from this project.
Dépotoirs sauvages dans la commune et la maîtrise et la stabilité de la pré-collecte
We have
des
been
déchets.
able to
Il y a également la baisse
reduce by at
significative
least 90% the sites where people would illegally and unofficially
selon les
toss their
statistiques
trash.
de l'hôpital.
And we have been able to improve the reliability of free waste collection
Nous
rather.
avons une forte participation de la population aux activités communautaires.
We have had the opportunity to involve a lot of different stakeholders with
Il y a également la réduction de la pollution
high
de l'eau,
population
de
participation in these community activities.
This
This has allowed us also to reduce air
la
pollution
réduction du taux de
and
chômage, puisque avec ce
bad smells
projet,
in the city.
recruter les 4 jeunes, donc
It has
14
also
femmes,
allowed us to offer
et
jobs
seulement
to young people
avec
because we have been able
nettoyage
to recruit 24 young people
Et il y a une équipe
and
de la
14 women
précollecte
who didn't have the job
et il y a une
prior to that.
équipe de marché qui fait entretien de balaye et la collecte de ces déchets.
The cities are
En
now
termes de
better managed.
perspective, la prochaine étape du projet abordera l'amplification
These are the future steps.
la mise en place des règlements
We
de
want
réglementation des
to
sanctions,
amplify our awareness raising campaign to give more visibility to this project. And we also want to put into place a regulation involving sanctions for people who toss
de l'équipement
their trash on the side of the road. Also, we are going to launch a sorting initiative with the NGO. Here are a few examples of waste valuation and sorting activities.
De la même manière, dans la commune de Mango, dans la commune de
In
Michigan,
the same way that we organize with the NGO, we are going to involve the local population.
le plastique que je fais à
Here
l'extrême gauche
is
Après, le
on the
tri-
right hand, on the left hand side, you have
sont
plastic
broyés
waste
par
that is being sorted.
et le produit de ces broyats-là sont
Then
mis
it is
en sac
crushed.
pour la vente. Voilà. Avec ces
Then
plastiques,
the waste is put into
nous
bags,
allons
and
également
we are able
et
to
fabriquer
valorize this waste.
avec ces
And
plastiques.
from this plastic, we can make
J'espère
other,
qu'ils sont en
from
train
this
de-
plastic waste, we can make other
Et la commune
objects
veut accentuer.
and valorize this
Après le
waste
recyclage
and put it
de
back
ces
onto the
déchets,
market.
nous avons aussi le compostage. Voilà ici
We
l'exemple
also
du
have
centre
compost
de
activities.
valorisation de l'ONG APRO.
Here are a few pictures of this
Travaille en collaboration avec l'ONG.
waste management system
Le centre sera
in
construit
Lomé
dans la
that
semaine
we're
à
working
venir
on with
pour
the Info
la
NGO.
réalisation de l'activité. En conclusion, la gestion des déchets
And to
est un défi.
conclude, waste management is a major challenge in our city.
Des enjeux, la synergie entre
Otsiwan has been working hard, and the population has been involved in order to improve the waste management system. And we are working with different NGOs and local authorities to improve the synergies. Sonia, nous n'avons pas le son de la vidéo. Sonia, vous pourriez revenir 2 minutes en avant, s'il vous plaît? Let us know. If you want, you can send him an email if you'd like to have access to the recording. I apologize for the technical issues. Of course, this is something that we're really, really, truly sorry about. It's always difficult to plan and to avoid this type of issues. I'm just going to check that Mr. Niang is with us today. Mr. Niang, are you with us? Are you with us today, Mr. Niang? Otherwise, we can just move to the discussion part. Here in the chat, I put Mr. Nyali's email address. It was his presentation on waste management in OT1 in Togo. Feel free to contact him if you want to find out more about this project, or even if you'd like to have access to the video. So Mr. Niang is not with us, therefore we can move directly to the panel discussion. Sonia? So today, we are going to have a discussion with all the different participants. Given that the second presentation won't be possible because the presenter is not available, therefore we will have more time for the discussion. First, I would like to just remind you that if you want to take the floor, please click on raise hand if you'd like to take the floor. I would like also to ask for the presentations not to be too long. Please be as straightforward as possible. I will ask you to limit yourselves to 2 to 3 minutes max, so we give enough time to everyone so they can all interact and share their experience. And finally, when you take the floor for the first time, please start by introducing yourself with your name and the city that you are working for. We are going to have a 3-step discussion. So we are going to talk about waste management, and I'm going to ask you to focus on the challenges, because then the second step will be about the solutions, innovations that have been put into place in order to tackle these different challenges. And finally, the best practices that you would like to share with your colleagues from different African cities. This is for waste management again. And finally, based on everything that you will have heard today, we would like to ask the participants to discuss the different ideas and lessons learned from this session today that you think are relevant for your city. Jaipur. So the first question that I would like to address is a question that I would like you to address, actually, because I would like you to talk about the different challenges that you have come across in your cities in terms of waste management. Would someone like to take the floor and talk about the challenges in terms of waste management in your city? Someone has raised his or her hand. Mr. Masengo, go ahead. Can you hear me? Yes, we can. Thank you. Well, welcome. Well, first, hello, everyone. My name is Joy Masengo. I am in the DRC. I am here as part of an innovation, but because you asked us to talk about the challenges, I will talk about the challenges that we are facing in my city. First and foremost, we have an issue, the basic problem, that is the fact that we don't have an organized waste collection system. Everyone does what they can. We have illegal and disorganized collection systems. They come in with trolleys. They just have a two-wheel sort of wheelbarrow, and then they collect it, and they collect the waste in areas that are not official. So this is the first challenge. So this organization. The second issue is the fact that we don't have any appropriate location for waste disposal, and we don't have any sorting area either, which means that this is a permanent issue that we have, and it's starting to impact the city on an environmental standpoint, but also aesthetically speaking. So this is one of the challenges I wanted to share with you. Thank you very much. Does someone else want to take the floor to talk about the challenges that they're confronted with? Mr. Diagafal? Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes, we can. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the colleagues. Thank you to everyone, to the colleagues from different countries. And I would like to thank also the presenter. As for the city of Pekin in Senegal, first I would like to say that waste management has always been very problematic, because it was first the national level that used to be in charge of it, and then it was given to the local authorities, and then back to the national level, and then back to the local level. And that tells something, because every time you see that there's a transfer to local authorities, it's a problem, and the national level has to take over, because it needs to be managed better. Right now, the national level, the state is in charge of it, but it's the waste coordination unit that is in charge of it. And the challenge is mainly about valuation, because waste in our city is collected. We have a collection system and a transfer system called Mbobus. It's an open landfill, but it has a huge environmental impact. It's highly polluting. So we don't valorize this waste at all. So we do have a collection system, but then the waste is quite simply unloaded in an area that has not been officially created for this. So what we need in our city is to have a better sorting and evaluation system. We have this landfill, so we have this collection system. It is transferred to the landfill, but we need better infrastructures. We need to value this waste. This is the only way, I believe, to really improve the system. Okay, It's true that I understand. Thank you very much. It's true that sorting, the waste sorting system is an issue. You're right. And we will talk about different innovations that have been put into place in different cities later on. Mr. Nyani has already given us examples of solutions that can be put into place. But it is true that it all really depends on the size of the cities. And when you have urban or rural areas, you have different issues with regards to waste collection. Mr. Emile's hand was raised. Mr. Emile, would you like to take the floor? If so, go ahead. Thank you, Nelson. Hello, everyone. I would like to say thank you to our colleagues from African cities. I would like to first thank and congratulate our colleagues. My fellow citizen, my name is Emile at Tigaku. I'm a focal point for the city of Noton 1 in the southwest of Togo. And OSC COMSA focal point as well. I would like to talk about the different challenges that we are confronted with. First, in terms of the organization and the institution, we need a better system for waste collection. Very few cities have a real system to manage waste. We need a better strategy at local level. Also, I would like to share what Mango has been able to do, my city has been able to do to make waste management systems improved. The city has an economic approach of waste management, and I think that this is an issue. We need to, of course, include this in our strategy, but not only. And we need a better strategy. We need to make sure that our cities are able to fund our systems. Very few partners are interested in improving their waste management system, even if they know that this is going to have a major impact on the life quality of people. Quality of life of people, rather. Financing is also a major challenge. We need to talk about the social aspect of things when talking about the challenges. But if we look at my city, for the past few months, we've had a project in the pipeline to organize the waste system, but we're still looking to have fundings through decentralized cooperation, because decentralized cooperation needs to tackle waste management, especially because it has a major impact on socioeconomic development. There's another element, which is also a challenge, while it could actually be an opportunity, namely DSP, the public affairs department that could help cities. The DSP should help us pool our resources, because we need help in mobilizing resources. Cities need help, even if they do need to keep, of course, the control over their waste management system. But I think they need more support. Thank you very much, Emile. We have very limited time, I believe, so maybe we can move to the next question.
Trouver des solutions que vous souhaitez partager. Monsieur Masengo, je vois que vous voulez prendre la parole. Allez-y.
Oui, est-ce que vous m'entendez?
Can you hear me?
Oui, on vous entend bien.
Ok, merci. Au niveau de Lubumbashi, nous avons créé une application nommée Simplified Waste. Cette application nous permet d'abonner certains ménages intéressés à des collecteurs légaux reconnus par les entités locales que nous avons ici, entre autres la mairie et les communes. Alors, nous procédons comme suit, par des puces que nous installons sur nos poubelles dans différents ménages. Nous arrivons à les géolocaliser et à envoyer nos collecteurs à un rythme régulier selon le statut d'abonnement des ménages concernés. Ensuite, une partie des frais d'abonnement est reversée aux entités dans lesquelles nous exerçons nos activités, qu'il s'agisse d'une commune ou d'une mairie. Et les déchets collectés sont triés et entreposés de façon régulière. Nous sommes encore en phase d'expérimentation. Pour tous ceux qui seraient intéressés par notre innovation, je mettrai mon adresse email dans la discussion. Ils pourront avoir plus de détails. C'est ce que nous faisons à notre niveau à Lubumbashi. Nous avons préféré inviter la technologie dans la gestion des déchets. Merci.
Je vous remercie. Est-ce qu'un autre participant souhaite partager un peu son expérience, des solutions, des innovations? Est-ce qu'on a même parlé aussi des défis que
Just that you have come across in your city?
Je peux?
May I?
Oui,
Yes.
Alors,
allez-y, allez-y.
bonjour.
Go
Bonjour.
ahead.
Moi, c'est Keteche Sosinam. Je suis
Hello.
le responsable des services techniques au niveau de la commune de Tchaoudjo à Sokodo.
I am in charge of the technical support in a city in Togo. I would like to thank our colleagues from Mango and OT1 and Mr. Emile, with whom we've been working on different topics. For the challenges, I think there are a lot of things that have already been said. In our cities in Africa have the same realities. We're all confronted to the same issues. Now, in terms of the challenges that we're confronted with, we have very young cities, therefore waste-related issues is not something that the population is aware of. Therefore, the population still believes that waste management is something that needs to be carried out in a traditional way. So they just throw their trash on the side of the street, for instance, and the free collection coverage is problematic. The issue is that when pre-collection organizations work for households, the volume of waste collected does not really allow for organizations to cover their expenses. And the road infrastructures are also problematic. The rolling stock is not robust enough. So these are the numerous challenges that we're confronted with. Now, in terms of innovation, we currently have, as our colleague from Lubumbashi said, the same challenges. And thanks to our project, we have put into place intermediary landfills, and we are working on a burial site. We want to be able to bury our waste, and this is part of a project. This is something that we need to do at this scale of this city. We are going to start the experimentation with a few neighborhoods. And in parallel to that, we have another organization that sorts waste in schools to make sure that little by little, young children, pupils become stakeholders of this sorting system within their household. So to teach them how to be more involved and engage in the sorting and the waste management system. We're trying to reduce illegal dumping. We are also working on a compost program to create qualitative compost. So this is what I can say for now. And thank you very much to the organizers. I wish to be able to connect with the different participants of the webinar in order to share best practices in the future. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was very interesting, very comprehensive. Please feel free to post your contact details so you can continue to have this discussion following this webinar. This is also what the COMSA is about. What we want is for everyone to be able to share their experience and to put people in touch with one another, cities with one another, to share best practices, innovations, and solutions to common issues across Africa. Also, it was really interesting what you proposed. Mr. Alogo, you have raised your hand. Yes.
Okay, merci. Bonjour à tout le monde. Je m'appelle Alon Kopi, le directeur des services techniques.
I work at the technical department in a city in Togo. A lot of things have already been said by my fellow citizens.
L'appropriation
We cannot hear you. We can barely hear the speaker, says Mr. Delamare. We are having issues with your connection, I think.
Ça n'a plus de valeur, normalement, ça ne devrait pas avoir de coût. Donc, nous sommes allés par la sensibilisation
We need to do more awareness raising, says the speaker. And we started working in a decentralized way with another city. We started neighborhood by neighborhood, and then we tried to replicate it in different areas of the city. We have a subscription-based system. And we know that the city needs to tackle this issue because it's a public health issue. Therefore, we're trying to put into place different programs, including awareness raising programs, and we want to incentivize people to subscribe to the system. Also, the road infrastructure is not optimal, therefore we partner up with different stakeholders. And because of the condition of the road, we had to consider different alternatives. But it was not reliable. Therefore, we have put into place a different system. We now have trucks that we are using. We have one dedicated service. And we're currently experimenting it to see whether it can be an option or not to increase the coverage. Because in Toko, because we have different cantons, different areas within the city, therefore. So this is what we have been doing in terms of waste management. The interpreter apologizes. The sound quality is really poor. So we have been working with the University of Lomé to help us. But with the change in territory, we need better coordination. And now what we did is that we stopped giving a choice to the population. Regardless of the resources that they have, we are working towards general coverage of waste management. We are working with the technical department of the city because we know that it's a public health issue. We know that we're talking about pollution, but for that, we need to have a better infrastructure. And also we are looking into working with a cross-city system, because in order to have a reliable infrastructure to recycle, to sort, and to value our waste, we need a larger volume. And we started working with other cities in 2017 and 2018. And we had been able to obtain funds for a cross-city system with one landfill that would allow us to then produce biogas from this waste. And we want also to have solar panels as well on the infrastructure in order to inject the energy collected from the waste into the network, because we also want to be able to contribute to the national economy. Thank you very much. You have given us great solutions. You have given us great solutions and issues to make waste management systems more reliable. And you talked about the issue of having more volume in order to be able to value this waste, and the integration system with biogas and electricity, different sources of energy, is also something that is really interesting and that is necessary as well. So are there any participants who'd like to talk about different innovations, solutions? Are there participants who would like to take the floor, who would like to share with us lessons learned?
We've had a lot of interventions from Togo today, but I felt like we have participants from other countries: Senegal, Côte d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, Benin. Would you like to take the floor as well to present what's going on in your city? Mr. Fall, with regards to solutions and innovations? Hello? We can hear you. Hello, everyone. As I said, with regards to Senegal, especially in the Dakar region, there are 4. With regards to collection, we didn't have this issue before. There has been some improvement. We have standardized collection stations. At some point, we realized that trucks come by at certain hours that were not known by the population. And when they do, people need to put their trash on the street. In order to avoid that, we created normalized stations that help populations directly go. And from that moment, the collection trucks are stored there, waiting for the truck to pick up, and avoid trash from lying on the street and pretty much everywhere. So I think that it's a way to participate significantly in the health of streets and neighborhoods. So I think this is innovation. And as I said, the participation of local administration with the support of the state, which so far decentralized the means to territorial collectivities, because the management by local administration and the funds that have been transferred are now taken care of by the state. This is a way to have great investments. But I wanted to talk those standards, getting a healthier street so that people can drop the waste after the truck came by. This was really a way to improve the sanity of the streets. Thank you. Thank you very much for this solution. Yes, indeed, it's very interesting. I imagine that this makes truck drivers work easier when picking up waste in those standardized collection stations. Thank you very much for this solution, innovation, which could be implemented in other areas in Africa, especially as part of the intercommunalities. Are there other participants who would like to take the floor? From Benin, Burkina. Hello? Hello, Mr. Silla.
Je suis en charge de l'économie sociale et solidaire.
Mr. Bakari from Côte d'Ivoire.
C'est une commune qui est située au nord du
I work in Ontango, in the north of Abidjan. Yes, indeed. We have to face these issues around waste collection.
Puisque la grosse part est prise en charge par l'État de Côte d'Ivoire qui fait la collecte des ordures.
Most of it is taken care by the state, who collects the waste, but the municipality is in charge of pre-collection. And we need to work on awareness raising. The state has prohibited plastic bags, but there's still a lot of plastic waste, and this waste often causes floodings in the neighborhoods and creates a lot of damage. And we work on raising awareness for professional organizations and civil society organizations who have very innovative projects, especially around raising awareness. And there's also a call for projects for initiatives that could contribute to improving the situation. And even for pre-collection, those organizations work in the neighborhoods, and some neighborhood organizations work with the collectivity, help raising awareness and pre-collecting waste that are put in identified locations, and then the collection from the state, which has set up a private company that has all the necessary equipment to collect waste. So while waiting to get those contributions, it's interesting to hear those innovative initiatives. Thank you. Thank you very much for those clarifications from Côte d'Ivoire. Very interesting. Yes, indeed. In Côte d'Ivoire, the state is in charge of collection. And as you said, this will be done at partnership levels between private sector and state. Are there any other interventions, questions? Don't hesitate to ask questions around the people who spoke before. If some participants would like to present challenges, innovations, solutions from other French-speaking countries, we heard Bumbashi from DRC, we heard no one from Cameroon or from Central Africa. We will have to go back into plenary soon. As you will see at the end of the webinar, we will also present a startup, 2 videos from startups who are working on innovations around waste collection. So you can get inspiration from there.
D'autres interventions?
No further requests to take the floor? I think English-speaking participants will join us in a moment.
Thank you so much, Nelson. Just to confirm that the English breakout room is just wrapping up, and participants will join us here in plenary in a little while.
think that we have finished on our side as well.
Thank you so much for your patience. I see that the participants from the English-speaking breakout room are slowly joining us. I was lucky enough to participate a little bit, or actually just listen, not participate, just listen to a bit of the conversations from both breakout rooms. And it was really inspiring to hear a lot of the really critical issues that are happening on the ground, and hearing about so many solutions that that you all have come up with to deal with the challenges of waste and waste management. And I'd like to call on our two moderators to please give us just a few of the points that they can reflect on from each of their different sessions. Maybe to start off with Nelson, some of your key points from the French session.
Thank you, Tara. I'm going to switch to French as it is easier, as I took my notes in French. Donc, du côté de la session plénière, on a continué donc à
in the plenary, we continued talking about the main challenges that cities meet around waste management. These are shared challenges: lack of recycling, lack of appropriate equipment to dispose of waste, the fact that there are illegal collectors collecting waste, the lack of cooperation between the different levels of governance, be it state or local collectivities, which was also highlighted. The fact that plastic waste,
plus particulièrement par les déchets plastiques, qui peuvent par exemple boucher les caniveaux, les canalisations, etc., et donc créer des inondations. La difficulté pour financer la gestion des déchets, le fait qu'il y ait peu de partenaires
interested in supporting cities in waste management. Savage deposits, level of coverage around pre-collection was also identified. So we're seeing many challenges that are shared in many cities in Africa. We also talked about solutions, innovations, and best practices to meet those challenges. Some mentioned partnerships between NGOs, civil society organizations, or municipality organizations around waste management, including around pre-collection, but also awareness raising in the population, there are also neighborhood committees in charge of this. We also talked about solutions, strengthening intercommunality in the cities in order to make sure that the volumes of waste that can be valorized to be sufficient in order to produce biogas or electricity, for instance. The city of Dakar also mentioned the fact that there are normalized or standardized collection stations to make pickup trucks work easier and to avoid waste from being dropped on the streets everywhere. So in order to increase hygiene and health. Certain cities also mentioned the fact that plastic waste should be made illegal. This has already been done in Rwanda, for instance. Finally, some also mentioned creating waste sites, so interim waste sites and recycling centers, associating the population as well. That was mentioned by Xiaozhou municipality, especially around an organization that works with schools, aiming at raising awareness amongst youth and children so they can become actors in waste management. I think this is pretty much it. These are the main challenges and solutions, innovations that were mentioned during the French-speaking plenary. Of course, you will be shown 2 videos now around innovations in Africa.
Thank you very much, Nelson. And maybe over now to Nicola to hear some of the key takeaways from the second session.
Or spoke about some quite similar things in the English session. Some of the key challenges that came up in the English session similarly included around collection and the difficulty of covering the whole municipality or the whole city in terms of collection, and then convincing and creating a business case for using waste as a resource is also can be a challenge, particularly when separation isn't part of the kind of culture of dealing with waste in the city. And so it's part of it is a kind of infrastructural shift, but also an attitude shift and about creating awareness about the ways that waste can be used as a resource and as an opportunity. Some of the other points that we spoke about were enforcement and management of illegal dumping, and had a bit of a conversation around some of the effective ways of enforcing regulations about illegal dumping, and particularly the importance of involving communities in those kinds of initiatives and ensuring that it becomes part of the kind of culture of the residents to manage waste. And around plastic waste, we also had a bit of a discussion, and the one example that was given in Addis Ababa was about a park that's, there was work on developing the public space, and that park is now a plastic-free zone, and that is managed by community members who ensure that others don't take plastic into that park. And yeah, so that was an interesting way of, rather than doing a blanket national or citywide ban on plastic, which is quite a big step, but having, for example, one public open space where that happens, it's a plastic-free zone, and then that slowly becomes part of the culture. Yeah, so I think I'm not going to go into any more depth than that, but just to say thank you to the participants for that, and over to you, Tara.
Thank you so much, Nicola. So over to the next part of the program. If I can ask Sonia to please share with us the videos. As I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, we have two very innovative startups that we would like to showcase to you. The one is Simplified Waste from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and we also have the representative from Simplified Waste that is on the webinar with us. He's currently, as I understand it, sitting in Johannesburg, and Regenise from Cape Town, South Africa, another startup that's doing some excellent work. So yeah, without further ado, over to you, Sonia.
Hi, I'm Emmanuel Makadi, and I'm from Lubumbashi. I think I can speak for most African citizens when I say that I hate the way that my city looks. I mean, honestly, it looks like Armageddon. And by 2025, annually we're set to generate around 244 million tons of waste a year, and less than 10% of that waste gets collected. And when you ask households what the problem is, they'll tell you that their options suck, that they have private waste collection companies with irregular collection schedules, as well as, to exacerbate the problem, these companies participate in illegal dumping, taking waste from one place to another, which doesn't really solve the problem. So our solution is Simplified Waste, which is an app municipal waste collection routes that uses QR code technology to deploy and track private waste collectors. So the way that the app would work for a collector is that they receive a route on our platform, proceed to the route, then they would begin to scan QR codes on bins on the route. And when they scan a QR code, what would happen is that the payment status of the household would be validated. If the payment status is okay, then they would empty the bin, and then they would complete all the bins in that route, and then empty the waste in their vehicle at the nearest transfer station. So the business model for Simplified Waste is business to business, inspired by Your Waste, which was business to customer. Essentially, what we'd ask governments to do is to levy a municipal tax for waste collection, and then we would deploy private waste collectors to service those routes. In order to mitigate the financial risk, we would collect the levy through our app and through payment partners such as banks and supermarkets. We would then make sure that we pay the portion of the levy that is due to the waste collectors, take our portion, and then forward the government their portion. The value proposition that we offer to governments is passive revenue, cleaner cities, increased employment, as well as satisfied citizens. So as Simplified Waste, we're looking for municipalities in sub-Saharan Africa who are currently dealing with waste management issues. We'd like to come in to your city for 2 months in order to show you how we could eradicate some of your waste management issues. All we need is access to databases from your utilities companies, such as water and electricity. If your city has been struggling with waste management issues and you'd like to deal with them, please speak to me after the session. I'll be here virtually. Alternatively, there are details displayed here on the screen. Please take them down and contact our help phone. And hi.
I'm Chad Robertson. I'm Kazim Lomiti. We're the co-founders of Regenise. Regenise is an inclusive, accessible and rewarding recycling service that provides recycling collections to citizens of Cape Town. So our model focuses on working with waste pickers. We provide them with tricycles, mobile devices and uniforms through integrating them into the model and then connecting them with the households that sign up for the recycling service. The issue, however, is that they are at the bottom of the food chain. They're getting the least for the recyclables. They're collecting in the most horrible conditions. They're scratching through people's bins just to make a living. So we thought, why are they having to operate like that? How can we use our skill set and our technology to kind of introduce them into our way of doing things?
So they are working from 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. And it's us trying to catch them in between the times that they work and then trying to connect with them there. It takes quite a bit of time, over quite a few weeks. Also trying to supply them with food, whether it's food packages or seeing, for example, how we can assist them in their daily collections. And then it's a matter of getting them on board, training them up, getting them known in the communities. Once they go and they knock at the door and ask for their recycling, go pick up their recycling, their name is known, the household welcomes them, they feel like they're part of something, they don't feel rejected anymore, they don't feel like they are pariahs of the community, they feel like they're a part of the community. And that's what we try to bring, that's the value we try to bring to them.
So the day before each collection happens, we send out a reminder to you as a resident saying who will be between an hour gap, so let's say 12 and 1. We put out your recyclables, and on collection, the guys will then weigh the recyclables. After that, you then receive another notification stating how much you recycled, how much carbon emissions you reduced, and we also reward residents with our virtual currency called Remali. So it allows them to buy vouchers such as airtime, data, or grocery vouchers through our online platform. We're also working on a new model for an offline platform where people can get a QR code and they can connect with spaza shops and redeem their money there as well.
It involves the entire community. So it's not just households that are active in recycling, you have spaza shops as well that are benefiting from that. So that's increasing the economic growth in the local community. And yeah, that's something that we are really passionate about, just trying to close as many gaps as possible.
Everyone call me Maza, waves of the sea. I'm a good swimmer. It makes me feel great because I wake up for a purpose. I wake up in the morning for a reason. By waking up every morning, I know that I'm going to work and I'm going to clean, helping clean the environment to be a better place for the kids to play in. There's no dirt around, whereby when they're playing on the cleaner environment. Actually, this keeps me fit. I wish I could write or compose some, some things, but here's my composition now. I'm composing here now. How to sort my plastic, glass. I'm more like a conductor of garbage.
Yeah, the community's really been supportive. It's been a learning process for us, for them as well. It's the first time most of these people are recycling at their homes. And so, yeah, it's just been a great learning journey. They've been fully supportive. And they really have a passion for improving the community and a passion for supporting projects that helps uplift other people as well.
It's a give and take for both sides, actually. We used to throw our bottles in the dirt bin. Yeah, they come along and like we're putting it now in bags and getting something out of it. It's a good thing, it's keeping our community clean and it's work for people that doesn't have work out there.
So the guys are going to the households. Once they then get the recyclables, they will weigh the bag, capture the weight on the phones and then move on to the next household. Once their load is filled, they'll then go to our decentralized local hub.
Local hub is basically a container that we set up strategically throughout the community. We have a few here in the community. This is one of them. So what happens now is the guys are basically going to be sorting these material by type, and a truck will be coming by at the end of the day to load those up and take those through to the corresponding processing facility.
So informal waste collectors are responsible for collecting up to 90% of all the paper and packaging waste we recycle as a country. And by that, they save government up to 750 million rand a year through landfill airspace. The end goal is to get people to a stage of, reducing as much as they can, living a zero waste lifestyle. And so right now, the push is purely just to get as many households recycling in South Africa using our model, but importantly, doing it in an inclusive way where we're working with what's already existing in our country. Because we don't see ourselves as a recycling company. Yes, we're offering the service, but we're more about behavior change and making sustainable behavior change, focus on sustainable activities. That's what we're really about.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Sonia. And I apologize if any of you had any issues hearing. I think this is something that we are really struggling with virtual events, is to make sure everyone's connection is stable. And also, of course, we know the translators have been doing an excellent job. So I hope that also the translation has been working on your side for those that have required it. And this brings us to the end of our session today. And I just wanted to say in closing that, you know, waste and waste management is something that requires a whole of society approach. It's a whole of society issue. And I think it's important within the municipality space to also regard this as a whole of a society issue. Think very clearly about raising awareness, the importance of partnerships with those of you, with those private sector and community members within your municipality. Something that also struck me today was this idea of potentially having plastic-free zones in cities where, you know, it might be too large a call to declare a city an entire plastic-free zone, but to try, you know, bring it in a small way and create that behavior change. We hope that you enjoyed the format of the session, and we really do, as I said in the beginning, encourage participants to contact each other. I was very glad to see people sharing their contact details through the chat, but also please be in touch with us through the technical help desk, and we would also be honored to connect you with others on the continent that are dealing with similar issues. And I would like to then also in closing thank all of our speakers for your excellent interventions. I know personally I learned a lot, but I think it was really inspiring to hear from all of you. And thanks again to all the participants for your active participation. And I wish you all a good day. Thank you very much.